We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
And now, Reality Rants with Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and I'm just asking questions, especially about these drones. Now, this is going to be a short video. A lot of this is really going to be updated stuff from a story that kind of took on a life of its own about a month plus ago, with all of these drones that were clearly in civilian areas, clearly much larger than the commercial drones that you would buy online or at some kind of a specialty store, okay? And the utter denial of the U.S. government that it knew anything about it. Now, look, we're not going to get into the fantastical, the stuff that we can't prove. I know a lot of people are talking about the fog. I have no idea. I've seen the videos too. I don't jump in unless I've really got something to say about these things, and I can either try to confirm something, show you some evidence that might suggest that's the case. I've seen none of these drones in Iowa. As far as, specific fog, we've talked about weather warfare here many, many times. We've talked about solar radiation management. We've talked about geoengineering. All of those things are real. But what I want to focus on today is the fact that 2025, in many ways, could officially be the year of the drone. And I'm not just talking about domestically, surveillance-wise. I'm not just talking about commercially and all of a sudden things are going to be delivered, automation, but I'm also talking about global warfare. Okay? And the numbers of drones that have been utilized just in the Ukraine-Russia conflict recently, it's staggering. And one of my greatest concerns from the outset of that military operation was the fact that the United States helped streamline Starlink and satellite communications in that region specifically for the use of newer types of drones. In fact, I'm going to show you one of the newest types of drones that was just shipped over to the Ukraine with the Ghost and the Sidewinder drones. Okay? And these attacks are continuing and they're accelerating. And in many cases, this drone warfare is being utilized to target civilian interests. All right? They're not attacking military bases. They're not attacking terrorist or insurgent infrastructure. They're literally committing terrorism in its real definition of a nation state or government entities striking fear into a populace for political purposes by attacking civilians. All right? In other words, individuals that have no involvement whatsoever. That's a big problem. Okay? So we're about to hit those stories. We're also just briefly going to talk about the Cybertruck explosion because that is actually on the peripheral of this drone issue, this drone argument, in a way that I don't think most people are going to be aware of. And quite frankly, with that, with what's happened in New Orleans, my antennas are up. I'm listening. Please send me anything that you think is interesting. But we're not fully weighing in on all that stuff until a few days at least down the line so we can take a look at what surfaces. Okay, that being said, can't do it without you. Need your support. The Buy Me a Coffee link, amongst others, are down below. I want to thank some of those that have donated already. Timothy Miller, Someone, and Holly Jackson. Thank you so much for supporting the broadcast. Annie as well. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do it. And again, we like to focus on things here that aren't being discussed everywhere else. If you go to social media right now, there's really nobody talking about these drones anymore. Now, that could change, that could shift, but I want to start right now with New Jersey, okay? And the fact that the FAA has issued more drone flight restrictions in the Hudson Yards, citing special security reasons. Now, again, I want to reiterate, these restrictions are for us and not them. What does that mean? That means they are for commercial or civilian users. If you are on a military base, if you are part of a military-industrial complex program, of course these things are going to continue. And of course, these are domestic surveillance and reconnaissance drones, bare minimum. Bare minimum. In fact, if you watched my digital twins video from last night, and I'd encourage you to do so, when we get to the Martine Rothblatt section, you know, and for those that have listened to me talk about Martine Rothblatt, from transgender to transhuman, you should also know that Rothblatt is highly involved in drones. Now, some of the specific examples that they were talking about domestically in those drones, and you're seeing all these different large-scale drones that are much bigger than normal, was through the company United Therapeutics that is doing the xenotransplantation and the utilization of these drones to move things like organs for transplant. Okay? So yes, they're restricting, and that's part of it. They want us to acquiesce to more regulations and more funding of our own surveillance while, again, acclimating the public to being domestically surveilled and lied to our faces. Okay? And that's the real thing that's going on in the United States. Of course, all of this technology is human. All of it. Even the stuff that you're seeing that you might think is defying physics or something different, etc., it's human, folks. Drones banned over parts of another 9 towns in New Jersey. Now, this is local governments trying to appease their constituencies, coming out, saying that they're doing stuff, banning this and that. They really don't have any jurisdiction, okay? They're saying the FAA is doing this. So let me just say this. If there are vehicles in these FAA restricted zones, they will be military, or at least protected by elements of the military, and the FAA is not going to be able to do anything. They're not going to make them come down. And that's the other thing. If your drone, your commercial drone gets away from you, they can take that thing out in a second. No problemo. But somehow, some way, these big-ass mystery drones, we don't know what to do. Now, I'm not somebody who sits here and worships Putin. Okay, I'm not here to tell you Russia's the best thing since breakfast. I know there are those out there that think that Putin is constantly on the right and he's anti-New World Order. My opinion is that he's got his own vision of globalization, what a quote-unquote New World Order could be. And just like the United States, just like Ukraine, just like all of these nations that are in modern-day conflict and backed by world powers, they've moved into that drone arena. And what we have here is Russia launches 111 drones at Ukraine in deadly New Year's attack, Kiev says. Now, again, you take this with a grain of salt. This is ABC News. We're going to play this clip. I'm not saying that Kiev or Ukraine is telling the truth. I'm showing you that this is now the new modern warfare, whoever is doing it. All right? And again, I want to believe that we're only, a couple weeks and change away or from like real de-escalation of this type of stuff.
It's being called an inhumane attack. Ukraine is working to recover from a Christmas Day assault, which left a region of the country without power and heat. And now President Biden is responding. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has the latest. Nicole, good morning.
Well, that's right. Good morning to you. And Russia took aim at Ukraine's power grid, hitting cities with ballistic missiles, drones, and cruise missiles. President Biden now calling the attack outrageous.
Nearly 3 years into the war in Ukraine, a devastating Christmas Day attack. Russia launching a barrage of missiles and drone strikes targeting the Ukrainian power grid, leaving 500,000 people without heat in freezing winter conditions and triggering widespread blackouts. People in the capital, Kyiv, left to spend the holiday sheltering in subway stations. President Zelensky posting, Putin deliberately chose Christmas for an attack. What could be more inhumane? Moscow confirming what it called a massive strike on critical energy facilities. President Biden denouncing the holiday strike as outrageous and promising more U.S. aid, saying, I've directed the Department of Defense to continue its surge of weapons deliveries to Ukraine. The U.S. has committed $175 billion in aid for Ukraine, but it's not certain if U.S. aid will continue at that pace after President-elect Trump takes office next month.
And before yesterday's attack, Zelensky said about
We can only hope they don't. Now, there are no guarantees that that is going to be the case, okay? Now, he just talked about new equipment. We're about to get to that in a moment, but I want to put this out there, okay? In 1 year, the Ukrainian Navy is saying it has destroyed over 37,000 Russian drones, all right? 37,000 Russian drones. Let's put that into perspective, okay? That would mean if you would just had a day-to-day basis of the Russian drone launches, that would be more than 100 drones a day. 365 days in a year, okay? Times 100, you're still at only 36,005. And they're saying over 37,000. Think about on a daily basis, 100 plus war drones. And those are apparently just the ones they've shot down. How many have been successful? I mean, what are the real numbers? I'm just pointing this out because obviously drones take out the human element. More and more are automated and AI driven. And that to me is very troubling because the more you take out the human element in this, the more likely you are to be pushed away from humanity, from morality, etc. Okay. Now, final two parts of this story. Check it out. What are hazard stealth drones? Ukraine receives new equipment from the United States, and this one is breaking today. Let's play this clip from Newsweek. a New Year's gift yesterday in the form of a unique drone system named Hazard. So again, expansions, more aggression, more automation, more drones. Now, I told you I was going to incorporate this Vegas truck bombing, okay? And look, when I looked at this thing yesterday, there was like no doubt to me that it looked like a hit. And I know that people were talking about the fireworks going off, but even the fireworks just exploding didn't make sense. Even if they were like the most high-powered mortars, and I get it, you're an electrical vehicle. It looked like a hit. All right? Now, all I'm saying is the guy they're saying did it is the passenger. So they're basically saying this was like a suicide bombing. Guy was a white military veteran who was supposedly a big fan of Trump, according to his uncle. His uncle's calling him 100% patriotic. Now, as far as how that incorporates in, apparently this guy was a special forces soldier overseeing drones. All right? Now, the next thing that doesn't quite sit right with me on this whole deal, obviously there's, the fact that it's a Cybertruck and it's in front of Trump Hotel in Vegas and people are kind of extrapolating whatever they want from that. They're saying this guy shot himself in the head first. Or had a bullet hole to the dome. And they're saying it's a suicide. How in the world? I mean, do you literally hit the detonation and the gun at the same exact time and just hope? Yeah, you certainly can't shoot yourself in the head and then detonate the thing, right? That's not a possibility. And the idea that you're going to detonate it and then as the explosion happens, pop your head off, very bizarre. Very bizarre. So, look, folks, I hope that if you do have some more information on the Cybertruck explosion, on this Matthew Libelsberger that they're saying did this, they still don't have a motive for it. Please send it my way. We're going to be looking into all of this. But again, I thought that an update on the drone situation that's kind of died off, and the fact that drones aren't going anywhere except for more and more mainstream, was the topic to cover today. Folks, you know the drill. To this guy, it is not about left or right. It is always about right and wrong. I can't do it without you. Please consider supporting me down below in the links with the Buy Me a Coffee, the PayPal, or sharing the links, letting people know about the show, checking out the alternative platforms and the documentary films, Fabled Enemies, Loose Change, Final Cut, Shade the Motion Picture, and Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined. I absolutely love you guys, and we will see you all on the flip side.